InvestorIdeas.com podcasts.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of InvestorIdeas.com podcasts, looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts. In today's podcast, we're going to be looking at announcements from World Class Extractions Incorporated, trading on the CSE as Pump, Hollister Biosciences Incorporated, trading on the CSE as HOLL, Plus Products Incorporated, trading on the CSE as Plus and the OTCQX as PLPRF, Green Cures and Botanical Distribution Incorporated, trading on the OTC as GRCU, as well as Canopy Growth Corporation, trading on the TSX as Weed and the New York Stock Exchange as CGC. Starting with World Class Extractions Incorporated, who announced the signing of an agreement with Nutrilite Holdings LLC and Nutrilite Extraction Limited Partnership to establish a joint venture to develop, manage, and operate a hemp extraction and processing facility in Imperial County, California, to extract hemp oil from hemp biomass in compliance with the U.S. Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018. Pursuant to the terms of the joint venture, the parties will enter into a definitive joint venture agreement to extract hemp biomass into hemp oil from which hemp oil products can be manufactured. The parties intend to carry out the joint venture under a two-stage program, and under Stage 1, Nutrilite Farming LP, an affiliate of Extraction LP, will enter into a 15-year lease agreement with the landowner, renewable for 2 additional 5-year terms, to lease up to 1,900 acres of farmland that are adjacent to the facility in Extraction LP, will then enter into a similar lease with the same landowner for the facility. Farming LP will obtain all necessary permits and licenses to carry out cultivation of hemp on the property and will cultivate an initial crop of 80 acres of hemp, which World Class will assist in drying and delivering to an extraction facility. Under the terms of the joint venture, the two parties will share economic benefits. Holdings will own 60% of the joint venture and World Class will own 40%. And the parties intend to extract hemp produced from the Farming LP in consideration for a processing fee of 1/3 of the value of the extracted product. With a rich history of hemp farming dating back to 1917, the climate and growing conditions in Imperial County, California are ideal, allowing for the site to grow at least 2 crops per year, where other states and counties can only grow 1. Roy Mondin, CEO of World Class, stated that our joint venture with Nutrilite marks a significant milestone for World Class. The deployment of our hemp extraction and processing facility in Southern California provides World Class with access to the market in the United States. The joint venture will not only extract and process hemp oil, but will also manufacture hemp-derived products for human health and pet wellness, with distribution of these products through Nutrilite's affiliate, Nutrilite Wellness. And the joint venture will also allow us to offer hemp extraction and processing services to licensed third parties in the U.S. So World Class Extractions is looking to expand out of the Canadian market and into the U.S. hemp industry, doing so through their partnership with Nutrilite Holdings in this case. As far as what they've done in the past, if you're unfamiliar with World Class Extraction, they've mainly focused on setting up extraction facilities for a lot of the Canadian LPs using their proprietary techniques. It does help separate them from some of the other extractors that are out there. And the main thing is that they're helping build the facilities, so more of a joint venture partnership like they've again done here through Nutrilite Holdings LLC, and less so of an actual separate extraction company. If you're comparing them to like a Valens or something like that, they'd be a little bit of a different league, as again, the biggest thing is actually selling their extraction equipment and setting up the facilities. And like many of the Canadian companies, where companies have been based out of Canada looking to expand into the U.S. market, I think any company, whether they're focused on extraction or any sort of ability to impact the production or the creation of new product SKUs like a World Class Extractions, is going to start expanding into as many markets as possible, whether again into the U.S. or looking into international markets. I could see them again expanding further out from this, from the U.S. into other hemp facilities around the world. But right now there's enough of a demand in the U.S. market with regards to hemp and CBD products, which is going to be what we're mostly talking about today. So moving on next to Hollister Biosciences Incorporated, who through its hemp division, Rebel Hemp Company, announced the launch of its premium organic hemp brewed beverage, Rebel Tea, at the Dreamhouse MJ Biz VIP event in Las Vegas. So the MJ BizCon has started today, going to be going for the next 3 days. And brewed with high-quality American-grown hemp and containing 15 milligrams of whole plant full-spectrum phytocannabinoids, Rebel Tea offers consumers a refreshing, THC-free beverage. And Rebel Tea's innovative formula features exclusively organic ingredients paired with light flavoring from natural lemon and cane sugar. The CEO of Hollister Biosciences Incorporated, Carl Staling, shared, "We're very proud to release our new hemp beverage, Rebel Tea. We've worked long and hard to create this amazing tea that is actually brewed from hemp. So another beverage company coming out into the, again, CBD or hemp space. Um, we're going to probably continue to see this for the next year or so, where more and more companies are putting out a non-psychoactive, sort of organic, healthy product, whether it's tea or a sports drink or a water-like beverage. You can probably expect to continue to see CBD products entering into some sort of beverage, and that's what most of the news that I'm going to be discussing today is going to be about. As again, as far as the actual demand for this, it's still pretty high in the US industry. There's still a huge demand for CBD products. The biggest problem, though, that's happening is, again, because there are so many product SKUs coming out, a lot of them unverified with their sources, there's no real regulation on the market. There is some of the downside coming out through this US hemp and CBD sort of explosion has been that a lot of these products, because again there is no real regulation that's been formalized on the amounts or the actual efficacy of any of these products, they don't really need to provide anything or do anything. They just really need to contain those CBD products, and even still they don't need to have any actual guarantees on the quality of that CBD. So even though these guys are focusing on full spectrum, which is what we want to see, most of the experts in the industry agree that full spectrum, or at least a partial spectrum, is sort of what's required. The isolates are a very different style of CBD component, and again, there isn't enough data to show how those will actually affect you of taking in a pure form of CBD without any of those other phytocannabinoids in there, which do again have some of the curative properties that we've been looking at when we're looking at the CBD and hemp industries. It's not just the CBD, it's also how they interact with those other, again, microcannabinoids. So again, you're probably going to see that a lot of these products come out. As far as what's going to develop out of this, there's a downside that a lot of these, the oversaturation of all these types of products, which again really provide no actual medical or pain relief or really health benefits. They're the equivalent of vitamin water and a lot of those other pseudo health products that we've already seen sort of rise and fall in different markets before. And that seems to be what's happening right now through the CBD space, is again, people really oversaturating with any type of product that's focusing on organic and healthy and no fats, no sugars. Again, almost every company has one of these products coming out right now. As far as where we'll actually see the sales of these and what's going to sort of last the long term, that's still yet to be determined. And again, a lot of these companies are focusing away from any sort of THC component in it. That could also start changing in time, as well as, again, regulations change surrounding the cannabis industry, and again, depending on how things start falling down on the CBD space once the FDA does start to come in and put down some actual structured framework. Looking next at Plus Products, a cannabis-based products company in the U.S. who announced today its transition from its primary California distribution partner from Calyx Brands Incorporated to HOLL Distribution Solutions for the company's best-selling cannabis brands. After an extensive review of the major California cannabis distributors, we determined that HOLL was best positioned to scale with Plus and reliably deliver product to retailers at the lowest cost, said Jake Highmark, co-founder and CEO of Plus. One of our goals at Plus is to have our products on every shelf at an affordable price, and we believe HOLL is the perfect partner to help us reach that goal. Their substantial market reach and world-class management team gives us confidence that they will help Plus further solidify our position as the largest cannabis-infused gummies brand in California. So HOLL currently distributes to more than 600 licensed retailers in California, and Plus products are currently available on 360 licensed retailers in California. So they do talk a little bit about, as well, some of the changes that are going to be going through with Calyx. So the settlement agreement with Calyx dated December 9th, which addresses, among other things, the termination of the distribution agreement between the two parties. And in accordance to the terms of the settlement, the company has arranged with HOLL to take responsibility for the distribution of the company's branded products inventory currently held by Calyx. So again, switching to this HOLL distributor. And this is something that any brands company, or really any cannabis products company, is starting to have to pay more and more attention to, is distribution and actually being able to get their products on stores, in shelves, to consumers. Whether you're in the US market or in the Canadian market, this is probably one of the number one issues facing the industry right now, is actually exposure and having full access and retail access and distribution for your products so consumers can actually see them. And that's also affecting the CBD space. A lot of the current CBD product SKUs that are available are mostly being sold online, and that is affecting how those companies are able to brand, market, and really be seen as a health product in the industry. So moving forward, that's what you're going to probably see is a lot more companies focusing on which are the best distributors, which companies actually have the sort of cheapest and lowest cost and most expanded footprint in the industry, and who can actually deliver on quality and consistency. And again, paying attention to, so right now in California, herbal seems to be moving ahead, but again, definitely want to pay attention to which other distributors are being used and which ones are starting to move out as they're not able to scale up. And that's another big thing that, again, you're seeing affect not only the US market, but also the Canadian market is scalability. As these markets start to mature and we start to really see the ups and downs of the industry, scalability is another huge sort of hurdle that a lot of companies haven't really anticipated or looked into, especially when they sort of underestimated the actual demand and scale of the industry in the first place. So again, the companies that are able to sort of continue and actually scale up are definitely going to be the leaders of the industry moving forward. Next, looking at Green Cures and Botanical Distribution, a manufacturer, wholesale, and distributor of hemp and CBD-infused nutritional, sports, body care, and alcoholic spirits, announced the development of its new CBD cocktail infusion line of products that will be marketed and sold in tandem with Hollywood Green Botanical Vodka. So last week, Green Cures announced that Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau granted its certificate of label approval for Hollywood Green Botanical Vodka. And the company is excited to announce the development of the upcoming launch of full spectrum CBD cocktail companions, which have been developed to be infused with alcoholic beverages. So, as I mentioned before, with Hollister Biosciences, again, we're going to continue to see these random SKUs of CBD infused or CBD related products. Again, at least a lot of the companies now are focusing on a full spectrum product that they're infusing. But again, at the end of the day, there is no actual guarantee on where they're getting those products from. And again, the sourcing of a lot of their hemp products is still, again, highly unregulated and not really up to control. So this is a lot of the actual company's own due diligence if they're putting forward, again, the traceability of their sort of product from seed to sale. That's on their own choice. They don't actually have to do that right now. And again, until there is more regulation, there's going to be lots of these products coming out of there, obviously from larger companies that already have, for instance, this company does have an actually fully approved vodka, so they're probably having to follow certain restrictions from the alcohol standpoint, which does give some guarantees towards their CBD infused products of they'd at least be following most good manufacturing practices and would be following some of the same regulatory standards they would have to for any sort of alcohol infused or alcohol related item. So there is some guarantees there, but again, as far as the purpose of these products, they're doses of 5 milligrams per serving. So that's really not going to affect you as far as any real impact on your body. And especially if people are doing this for some sort of health reason, you're combining this with alcohol, so it doesn't really matter in the long term anyways. But again, the other side of this is, as much as I could say this is gimmicky, there's still a huge demand for these type of products in the US market right now. And as much as any of these products, again, the actual efficacy of them, the real purpose of why they're being made still doesn't really seem like they have a real need on the market for a lot of these sort of CBD infused health type of products. Especially if they're not going to actually provide any of the health benefits of the CBD. If they're just in small micro doses, they're really not going to impact your body most likely, especially if combined with other sort of harmful products like an alcohol. But the end game is that a lot of these companies are still selling really well. And again, there is a continued demand for this. So they'll be launching this in tandem with their Hollywood hemp brand as well. And we'll also be launching it with the actual vodka, which will be launched in the California market. So we'll see if that starts to catch on. For all I know, there could be a whole line of CBD infused cocktails that come out. But for right now, it does seem more gimmicky than it does seem a long-term intended plan. Lastly, looking at Canopy Growth, who invites you to attend the official ribbon cutting to celebrate the return of chocolate to the former Hershey factory in Smiths Falls. So Canopy Growth's partnership with international award-winning Hummingbird Chocolate supports the production of world-class chocolate in the company's new state-of-the-art chocolate factory. In the coming months, Canadian consumers will have the opportunity to experience cannabis in a variety of different flavors and formats as part of Cannabis 2.0, And thanks to the groundbreaking work of Cannabis Grow's innovative team, the company is poised to lead the industry in bean-to-bar cannabis-infused chocolate. So there's an invite for the ribbon cutting ceremony, which will be this Friday. And it is just an interesting development for Canopy Growth as far as their involvement with Canadian communities and really impacting the areas where they're having their production facilities. They have done a good job of actually making sure that they're reinvigorating certain facilities and certain job areas, and they're really focusing on, again, trying to recreate or reinvigorate Canadian economies in the areas that they're based in, which has been received quite well. And again, even just reusing an old Hershey's chocolate factory to support their new chocolate factory is sort of a cute little add-on, and I'm sure, again, will be received quite well. That's all for today's podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.